goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. To the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key at Onyx, flying rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm coming around, yeah. Cause I'm hard to make everything for fun. Really about those fun.
The duties with there and Premier. Newcastle United.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs. Yes, sir.
Yes, baby! It's time! Nearly there, boys. Nearly there. Get the W's in the chat. Pause. Calm. We're nearly there, boys. Great win today. But let's talk to the boys first. Let's say hello. Chris, how are you?
All good, mate, yeah. A pretty much near perfect Sunday in terms of football results. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, brilliant win, mate. And I stood corrected as well because I think I wrote to you boys in the chat. I thought 4 points would all but secure Champions League, but then I recently realised in the last 20 minutes that we are literally 3 points away from securing Champions League. So I'm absolutely elated, mate. Absolutely elated. Capped off a brilliant weekend. And yeah, looking forward to getting into it. Pete, how are you doing, mate? You good?
All good. Fucking get in there. Massive win. Absolutely buzzing today. I think we're there. That was a monumental win today. Been saying it all day. To get that win against Chelsea and to do what we did at St. James's Park today for a number of different reasons, and we'll get into it. Absolutely buzzing. Fucking get in there. Come on. Get in. Love it.
Get in is right. Get those shades on, Pete. You know what to do. Boys, let's pause talking about the game for 1 second. And we normally talk about the table at the end. But let's go straight to the table. Let's mix things up a bit because this is how it stands. We are sitting in third spot. Disregard that Liverpool aren't there at the top. Never mind that. We are sitting in third spot on 66 points with a goal difference of plus 23. We can actually overtake Arsenal if we beat them on next weekend as well. They are sitting on 68 points and goal difference 33. For disregard that. But Man City, who only could manage a draw yesterday against already relegated Southampton, they are on 65 points with a plus 24 goal difference. So we're just one behind them in goal difference as well, just to note that. And Chelsea, who took a beating today, they're on a plus 19 goal difference and 63 points, as are Villa, who had a good win for them against Bournemouth on Saturday night, Saturday evening. And but their goal difference is pretty poor. And Wolves Notts Forest, it did not go to plan for him today. They had a 2-2 draw with in the derby game against Leicester on they sit on 62 points. But boys, how are you feeling looking at this now?
Go on, Pete. You go first, mate.
It feels good. It's what we wanted before this weekend. It was quite nervous in the build up to this weekend because we knew so much was riding on it. But looking back now in hindsight, like when have our boys ever sort of not turned up in these big games this season? They're proving that. You look at the likes of Liverpool when they've come to town, Arsenal when they've come to town, the Carabao Cup final, Man United, albeit they're in a relegation battle all season, but always a big game where they come to St. James's Park. And then you put Chelsea. It was a straight shootout for Champions League pretty much today. And they've not let us down in any game like that on an occasion. They've turned up. So who am I to be worried about the fact that these boys weren't going to turn up, and they've done exactly that. And you look at the table, I keep maintaining it. I'd have taken fifth. I'd have snapped your hand off for fifth at the beginning of this season. I'd have taken it and ran. But boys, we're sitting in third. Now just put that table back up again. Like, just look at that. We are third in the Premier League on 66 points. And as you just mentioned, as a win next weekend puts us in second. Like, who would have thought that? Who would have thought that when we were languishing in 12th and 12th in the league earlier on in the season, and all the other clubs around us were laughing at us, saying that we were out the race, that we're not that team. Well, we've gone and proven we are that team. Not only have we put a trophy in the cabinet, we're about to secure Champions League football, and there are other clubs out there that are fighting with us that need to start taking notice, because we are proving that we are a hell of a team to come up against. It's such a great feeling. And you look at the other teams that have faltered in that time. Chelsea were supposedly in the title race earlier on in the season. Forest was supposedly in the title race earlier on this season, and look at them now. They're sitting below us in the table. And it's a great feeling, lads. I'm not going to lie. But Chris, what's your thoughts when you see that table? What are you thinking?
You're on mute, Chris.
Oh, sorry, boys. I haven't done that for a while, have I? Just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was thinking to what, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, something like that. And if you'd have fast forwarded to this point and told me that second was effectively in our hands, I wouldn't have believed you. I look now, and I was saying to Daz pre-show, Pete. I don't think you joined at that point, but I was saying, I don't know if you saw the Mikel Arteta interview after the Arsenal-Liverpool game. His head has gone. It's officially gone. We should be going into that game. I'm hoping the message that Eddie Howe is saying to the boys this coming week: go and secure Champions League football. Go to the Emirates and go and secure Champions League football. Go and get those 3 points that we need, and let's put this to bed. The fact that we are where we are is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's so good, and I'm absolutely elated. I'm still a little bit in shock, if I'm honest, because if you'd have said to me at the start of the season that we were going to win our first trophy in 70 years, and we were going to secure Champions League qualification, like that was like dream stuff, absolutely dream stuff. And it just shows, we can go anywhere next season. We can absolutely go anywhere. And if we follow it up with a strong summer, which we all believe that we're going to have, and we all believe, that we're going to do, the world's our oyster. I genuinely don't know where we could go next season. I really, really don't. I mean, looking at Liverpool today against Arsenal, we're not far off that, boys. We're really, really not. And I think with a few players, a bit more consistency, a bit more depth in that squad, honestly, we could really, really go anywhere. And I'm just delighted that it's come to the last 2 games. I'm a 1 win away from securing Champions League football. It's brilliant. And with Villa winning, that made everyone a little bit nervous. And then Forest obviously dropping those 2 points to Leicester. It's been a really up and down weekends, hasn't it? Really, really up and down weekends, but in the end, it's turned out fantastically. And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to see you on 12th Man as well, because I think that show is going to be particularly interesting, and obviously our own top table talk as well. That's if anyone turns up. I don't know. But,
well, it's interesting. It's interesting you said that, because I just wanted to make sure that the people were there for Tuesday. Because I've already sent the message out. I've already sent the message and said, Tuesday, if you boys can do this, Tuesday 6:30. For you boys, we can rearrange the time if it needs to be. But I've just said to the rest of the lads, just make sure you lock that one off, that you're already taken for that hour or so. So yeah, we'll make sure on that one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of eyes, a lot of eye rolls, and a lot of calling out happening over the course of top table talk and 12th Man this week. You're not going to want to miss either one of those, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. And You wonder who's in pole position, though. No, that is the question that's on my mind. Who is in pole position? But we're going to get into a bit of that.
I think you may want to start with that next week. You may
we'll start with that. Don't worry. I'll be starting with something like that. All right, when I start that poster. But there's nearly 300 people watching us live. We don't normally get this many people watching live. Lots of people watching watch it back. But smash that like button. If you're new as well, hit that subscribe button. It'll immediately allow you in the chat. You don't know waiting. Get in the chat and you can have your say in the chat. And have meet the Loaded Ultras as they're in there as well, and click on that membership button to become a member. But boys, let's get into the actual game itself, because there were nervy moments. I'm not going to lie, Pete, on that one. But here is the team news. So here it is. So we had out were Trips with a calf problem and Willock with a thigh issue. Back in came Botman and Gordon. Keith Downey pre in the morning, he was on Sky, he was predicting a draw as well. Then I suppose the question on Ireland, well, Chris, you immediately said this is a 5-2-3. Sky, BT, we're calling it, saying it was a 3-4-3 or a 4-2-3-1 formation, but it didn't really matter as much. It did look like a 5-2-3 as the game kicked off. But boys, thoughts on the and one big return as well. We need to be is Lascelles, who we last seen when he came off injured, obviously with the ACL injury when we were over at the West Ham game last season. So great to see him back on the bench for us. But boys, thoughts on the team news for us?
Go, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody knew that Willock and Trippier were a doubt. It was funny actually because I watched the pre-match press conference with Eddie Howe, and it was funny. He got asked about a couple of players, and it was the most blunt reply ever. He was just like, "Yeah, we'll see." It was like, right, okay, so he clearly doesn't want to get too much into it. But from the players available, I feel like that was the best team. I've got to give Pete a shout out as well, because obviously on away days on Thursday, Pete finally nailed us in and had Gordon on the left and Murphy on the right, and obviously Murphy proved invaluable in this game, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, from the players available, I feel like it was the right team to play, and it was funny, because TNT were adamant it was a 4-2-3-1. Live Score was saying it was a 4-3-3, and everyone was like, "Why is he playing Dan Burn at left back?" And he's like, "He's not playing Dan Burn at left back. Chill out." But it was funny because I said to you boys, didn't I, in the chat? I was like, "Do you know what? I just can't wait for kickoff so we can see." And literally, it was the most clearest thing. As soon as the ball, as soon as kickoff came, you could just see the 5 and then the 2 and then the 3, and it was like, "Yep, 5-2-3. That's it." But it was very fluid throughout the game, and there were intricate changes here and there. But yeah, I was pleased with the lineup, and I've got to be honest, boys. And Pete, we said this, didn't we? I was so pleased to see Sven Botman back, and albeit it was only for 45 minutes, but my God, like that first half, he was sublime. He was absolutely sublime. So much so that somebody decided to elbow him in the face because he couldn't get past him. But again, we will get into it. But Pete, what were your thoughts on the lineup, mate?
Yeah, just before I go on to my thoughts really quickly, Jimmy's in the chat. People on socials, I know we are, and we've sent him a message. People aren't aware Jimmy hasn't been well recently. So great to see you in the chat, Jimmy. Hope you're well. Hope you're recovering well. And best wishes and prayers to you on your recovery, mate. But yeah, glad to be back with the boys. Great stuff. Good man. Good to see him in there. And in terms of the lineup, it was a weird one because nobody could have predicted that lineup at all, because everyone would have had Trippier in. I think most people would have had Willock in, and neither of them were available, which I have to be honest, boys, when I saw that, particularly with Trippier, it did worry me a little bit, because I was thinking, we've got these problems, not even on the bench, they're out the squad completely. And I'm just like, we can't have this on this day of days. Like how, we don't want these last minute changes or these big decisions being made where it's chop and changing. Chelsea looked strong. You know, they had full strength pretty much, and it's just like, you know, we need an even bigger performance now than we needed even before that. But I was the same as you. You look at it, you know it's a back three. It's really interesting actually with TNT because I'll be honest, boys. I was coaching my daughter's team this morning, so and it overran because of the drinks break. So I literally left with like 3 minutes to kick off. So I missed all of the build up. I literally had it on my phone getting into the car as we're about to talk about when the first goal went in. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I missed all the build up. But doesn't that show you, Chris, what you've just said about the TNT commentators? It just shows you that they don't watch Newcastle United.
100%.
It shows you that they just don't follow Newcastle United as a team. If that was Man United, if that was Chelsea, if that was any one of those traditionals, big six as they like to call it, they'd have known every little intricacy about the way they play in their team and their setup. It's because they don't take an interest in this. They don't watch us enough. And that tells you everything you need to know, is that the fans, the people that actually know the club, know how we're going to set up, because we've seen it every week and week out. We know already how it works now. He's been at the club for over 3 years. So yeah, it was just interesting. Exactly how you just described it, Chris, is exactly how I interpreted the lineup and the setup of the team. But anything that stood out for you, Daz? Well, what was your reaction, Daz, when you kind of realised that Trippier and Willock weren't in? Were you a little bit worried, or we bothered by it? Like, how did you feel?
No, I thought it looked like a solid team, and I, like Chris, I thought it was 5 at the back, and the 5-2-3 we're going to go with it, because it's like what we've done before, what we did against Arsenal that time. And I thought I was thinking delighted Gordon starting. That's what I was calling for to start, and also then I thought, you know, how Shard just kind of creep up and just appear from nowhere and has a dead thunder bastard of a shot. I thought that could happen again. So I was kind of positive on that front. So yeah, you're just looking for the game to start. We're waiting all week for this one to start, and eventually they did start. But boys, we did not have to wait long for it to kickstart, because after 2 minutes, I think it was 112 seconds, Tonali gets a goal. After Flash is taken down in the box, looking for a pen. We didn't go back to that again. I forgot about that after that, because Tonali wins the ball from Lavia. Bruno with the ball out to Murphy. Murphy crosses it in. Another assist on the way from Murphy as Tonali applies a finish. Tonali, if you haven't watched that video of a day in the life of Tonali, it's about 20 minutes, no, half an hour long. Watch that. It's really, really quality. But he gets his goal. 1-0 Newcastle after less than 2 minutes. What are you making of that goal, lads?
Go on, Pete.
No, go on, mate. Go for it.
Just so many good parts. I was a bit annoyed with TNT, I've got to be honest, because they kept showing the replay of the Gordon foul, and then they quickly switched to live play, and they were like, "Oh my god, the Newcastle are, on the break." But yeah, I did get to watch the replay. So it was a strong shoulder, I would say, from the defender. I'm trying to think who the defender was actually on Anthony Gordon. It was either Chalobah or who was it? Was it Chalobah or Colwell? Well, no, actually, it might have been Caicedo. Anyway,
it might be Caicedo, I think.
Yeah, it was, because that was one of Caicedo's 7, very rough 17. Tackles that he. It was mad. I still don't know how he didn't get a yellow anyway. But regardless, that's right. Yeah, so Caicedo bundles Gordon to the floor, and it would have been a harsh penalty. Let's be honest. I think it was a reasonably fair tackle. And then I think the ball goes to Chalobah, and then Chalobah plays it. Oh, and I love this, by the way. I had to watch it back again. The ball gets played to Lavia, who turns round, and Tonali's pressing him straight away, wins the ball back, gives the ball to Bruno. Bruno then lays it out to Murphy. And then Murphy puts this delicious ball in, and funnily enough, Bruno nearly actually gets on the end of it. Bruno, doesn't rest on his laurels. He's getting into the box. But yeah, great ball in from Murphy, and then Tonali's at the back post. When I watched it back, Tonali actually does really well with the finish, because he could have so easily got that wrong because the ball was like bouncing funny, but he knew that all he had to do was just get a touch on it. He didn't have to, swipe through it or, hit it aggressively. He's just basically got to redirect the ball because there was quite a bit of pace on the cross from Murphy, but a fantastic bit of play. And it was exactly what we needed. We knew that we needed a quick early goal. We knew that if we were to press Chelsea, we were going to put them, in an uncomfortable situation. That's exactly what we did. But I was just so made up that it was Lavia who lost the ball, and ultimately that's what cost Chelsea, because all we've heard this last week is Lavia's back. Lavia's going to cause Newcastle all kinds of problems. You're not going to be able to contain Lavia, and Lavia was the one who stayed on the ball far too long, ended up getting it pinched off him by Sandro, and then we went on to score. But yeah, it was a great goal, great team goal, and it came at just the right time. Like what was it, 2 or 3 minutes in? It's exactly what we needed, and it was a great start.
Chris, just one correction there. It was not a delicious ball. It was a juicy ball.
It was juicy ball.
Ball there to be attacked.
I'll say juicy.
But
yeah.
Pete, thoughts on Tonali's goal?
Sorry, I just had to have a wardrobe change because I was wearing the old school Newcastle top, and it's not the weather to do it today. It's warm, it's hot. It's not the top to be wearing when you do one of these shows. So yeah.
Oh, Sky Sports, Pete. He does what he wants. He does what he wants.
Never. It's interesting. You touched on a couple of things that are quite interesting, certainly about Lavia and Caicedo. But what I wanted to see from Newcastle is a quick start, intensity, getting at them early on. It was why I kind of changed my mind on away days, Chris, and said, you know what, we have to have Gordon. Gordon pressing and pushing, and that electric pace is what really unsettled Chelsea early on, and it created the moment in the game that sparked the goal from happening. But it's lovely play, really well worked. And this is what I said, boys, what I said. I kept maintaining it all the way through, saying it to Charlie, I was saying it to so many others, is that the Liverpool game where Chelsea won was good for them, great result, but it still opened up a lot of questions. They still conceded a lot of chances, a lot of easy chances. Defensively, they're not strong, and we really exploited them in those moments. And that goal typified it. They don't track their runners, they don't follow their men. Newcastle United will run into spaces where their team don't want to go, and the likes of Lavia and other players in their midfield, they don't want to be tracking back into defensive areas where they have to do the doggy work. And we really exposed that today on a number of different occasions. And it's a great ball in from Murphy. 20 goal contributions this season. Absolutely outstanding. I just want to give him a quick shout out because I found this picture. So I put it in the thing.
Yes.
They're the highest amount of assists that any Newcastle United player has had in a season, Premier League season. Andy Cole with 13, Nobby Solana, who we know was a genius, on the right with 15. Murphy's got 12. No other players have got any higher than that, which is, I think, is high enough praise for Jacob Murphy. That's a great ball, and you know what, the finish, it's actually quite a well-known finish. Like a lot of players do it. I remember Mesut Ozil finishing like that, like Sandro Tonali does. You kind of like you punt the ball into the ground so it kind of loops up. Certain players have that sort of technique, and that's what's beat the goalkeeper. It's brilliant, absolutely superb for Tonali to make that run and to be there. And I was watching it on the phone, running back to the car. The game, my daughter's game had just finished, and I belted out the biggest Sandro chant and that went in, and there's loads of other games still going on the park, and they're all looking around like, who's that? What the hell's going on? And I'm just like, Sandro! I'm just going mad as I'm getting into
hanging out the car window.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the car. I wasn't even in the car. I barely got the door open when he bagged that. But it's a great goal, and it's exactly what we wanted, boys. Early doors, hit them hard, hit them quick. Great start from Newcastle United, and really impressed with the boys and how they went about their business at that point.
I bet you my Bruno chant topped that one, Pete, because I went mental when that one happened. Anyway, let's keep going, because Newcastle are all over Chelsea at this stage. Tempo is high, intensity and the press is on point. After 12 minutes, Bruno controls the ball and volley just wide. After 80 minutes, Isaac it's a scuff shot into the ground, easy for the keeper. Actually, as well, I see people coming over for Forest Fans TV. Welcome as well. Welcome to Loaded. Not your best day, but it's still not over for you guys yet. Anyway, let's crack on. Disciplined first 20 minutes from the tune. Anytime they didn't have the ball, they kind of reverted to 5-4-1. Then 25 minutes, Barnes attempt as the ball trickles through to the keeper with his attempt there. Barnes and Gordon were switching over at times as well. Then this thing happened. Sorry, too early. Casado, the fouls are racking up on Gordon. He tries to take him down at every point, but he's getting nothing. We're getting nothing from that. Then here we go. Nicholas Jackson elbow on Botman. The ref gives a yellow. Looked like a red when we saw it ourselves. Then the ref goes to the replay. The ref goes to the monitor. VAR has a look at it, and a red is given. That means his season is over. Chelsea down to 10 men. Just here's a picture of the elbow, right? But also, I was looking at a Villa Bournemouth game, and there was an elbow there as well on Alex Scott. Now, he wasn't looking directly at him when the elbow went in, not like in this case where Jackson looks for Botman, then leads with the elbow, knowing he was there. I suppose that was the difference between the two. But thoughts on the sending off there, lads?
Pete?
I thought Nicholas Jackson is an absolute disgrace. Nothing like that should ever be seen in the game. In my opinion, and I've said this to Charlie, and I'll maintain it, I don't care what Chelsea fan disagrees with me, he had the intention to do one on Sven Botman there. There's no doubt about it. He intended to plant that elbow on Sven Botman. He did it on purpose. It's an absolute stonewall red card. I'm actually pissed off still that the referee didn't see it. It shouldn't have gone to VAR. It's blatant that everybody else around him is going absolutely mental, including Eddie Howe, which was caught on commentary. The fact that he was irate at that, and rightly so. Stuff like that shouldn't be happening in the game. You shouldn't be going into it with the intent to, Sven Botman's lucky that he wasn't stretchered off in that game, because that could have knocked him out. He could have been out for 10 days. He could have been missing the Arsenal game, and he could have been out of that game early doors. And that was the intent, in my opinion, from Nicholas Jackson. He's an absolute disgrace. He deserves more than 3 games ban, because he knew exactly what he was doing. At that point, first of all, wanted to make sure that Sven Botman was okay, which thankfully he is, because he's a man mountain. And then secondly, I wanted Jackson off that pitch as soon as possible. Get him off that pitch. Absolutely delighted that they were down to 10 men. Delighted that he's not available for them for the last 2 games, and will, I think, miss the start of next season as well. Rightly so. I was... I can be buzzing as a fan because they're down to 10 men, but actually I was just pissed off because it's an absolute disgrace that he did that, because the intent was there. You watch that replay back, and the fact that he's looking at him dead in the eye, and then the elbow comes up and it's planted right on his chin. He didn't even need to do it. He wasn't getting anywhere near the ball. And you could tell Sven Botman had him in his pocket. Up until that point, had him in his pocket. And it's out of frustration. But you don't do that to a fellow footballer. You just don't do it, regardless. Fully deserved. Fuck off, Jackson. And obviously put them down to 10 men, which is why I was equally as buzzing as that.
Chris, it's definitely sending off for you as well. I know we're chatting about it in the chat at the time.
Me, do you know what? That's the second time this season I've been incredibly disappointed with Ali McCoist. Like Ali McCoy was trying to justify and trying to say, I don't know. I'm not going to try and do his accent, but he's like, I don't know. And I'm thinking, mate, are you mad? They literally slowed it down 2 or 3 times. And you clearly see Jackson look over the shoulder, see where Sven Botman is, then lift his arm up and do the elbow action right in his face. It's a blatant red card, and it's disgusting. It really, really is, because as Pete said, that could have had serious ramifications for Sven Botman, and full credit to him for playing on as well, because I bet his face was sore after that. But Sven Botman up to that point was absolutely wonderful. And Nicholas Jackson, Pete's right. It was pure frustration. It was pure frustration on Nicholas Jackson's part, because he knew that Sven Botman was getting the better of him, and he didn't like it. And he thought, I'm going to leave one on him here and see if I get away with it. And unfortunately, he didn't, because not at one point did, if you watch the replay in full, not at one point did Nicholas Jackson have any eyes on the ball whatsoever. He was just interested in where Sven Botman was, and he just wanted to make sure that he made impact with him. And it was really disappointing to see, to be honest. And he's now going to miss the last 2 games and probably the first game, unless of course they increase the ban. Who knows? But it was shocking. And from a Chelsea perspective, thinking of the manager, the players, the fans, they must be so frustrated, because at that point then you knew it was going to be an uphill battle for Chelsea, because they were down to 10 men. Newcastle were in the ascendancy as it was, and it just made it all the more harder for them. They're 1-0 down, they're down to 10 men, and you could see the frustration. Absolutely.
We've got a few Chelsea fans in the chat, and I've spoken to a few as well. One of my really close mates is a massive Chelsea fan, and he messaged me exactly the same. Yeah, saying exactly that. He's an absolute idiot. So I'm glad that there's not kind of that club biased where they protect a player, even though it's blatantly wrong. The vast majority of Chelsea fans are coming out saying, "What the hell was he doing?" Like they've properly screwed him over. I agree with you, Chris, with regards. The commentary at the moment, whether it's TNT or Sky, there seems to be this protection of footballers at the moment, where they're like, "Oh no, it's not a red card, it's not a yellow card. Oh no." Well, yeah, it is. And some of them have made some absolute howling mistakes recently, where they've gone, no, that's not a red card. And then they've watched it back and they've gone, yeah, actually it is. It's like, well, just wait. Let's watch it again and then make your decision there, because it's made them look like an absolute clown. And Ali McCoy is one of them, unfortunately. Because I actually like Ali McCoy. I think he's pretty good. I think he seems like a nice guy, and he is pretty good on comms. But you're right, that was a poor moment. But Daz, your reaction? How did you feel?
Well, I don't like the way Ali McCoy and his co-commentator are stealing our idea and taking the sunglasses. And it's really catching on, the sunglasses look. But for me, it was a definite red card as well. And just delighted that we're 1-0 up. They're down to 10 men in this 6-pointer. So it's like the only way is up. How can we throw it away from here is what I'm thinking. And I'm expecting more goals to come then, just to make sure of it. But we had to wait a while for that. Let's get into it, because we're knocking on the door then after that for more goals, because on 36 minutes Byrne has a header, so close, was offside anyway. Chelsea losing their heads in at this stage. Maresca as well picks up a yellow card, but it's great to see. 42 minutes. Barnes in after Bruno touch plays him in. It was a lovely little touch to get him in, but nothing comes of win for a corner. That's all that came out of that one. 43 minutes, Byrne header again, not enough power in it. 45 minutes, Isaac nearly in after Tonali ball inside the box to him. So yeah, we're knocking on the door, but that second goal isn't coming. But that took us to half time, 1-0 up. So happy at this stage we were. Then as the second half kicked off, bit of worry because Tino went down, landed awkwardly on his knee, kind of jumped up again, and I think everyone gasped when they saw that, because we know that he was out with a long-term injury when he was out at Southampton. We don't want that to happen to him again, but thankfully he was okay to play on and played well for the rest of the game, so no issues whatsoever there. 48 minutes. Push by Reece James and Gordon in the box. Penalty shot, but nothing came of it. Chelsea started to push on a bit in the start of the second half, applying a bit of pressure to Newcastle. Then 54 minutes, there's a sub. Botman is off. Miley is on. Yeah, great to have Botman back. Actually, we kind of said it at the start, but great because some people ruled him out for the season. Like Geordie Josh, but no, he's back, and it's great. We need him to see out the season as well, and he'll only get more minutes as it continues. Well, 57 minutes. Isak had a slice volley, went for a corner and over. Barnes, the final ball at times, so let him down on a few occasions. As Newcastle go looking for that second goal, but it's just proven too difficult. 61 minutes. As Chelsea still trying to come onto us. Pope save from Cucurella. Gets down low to save that one. 64 minutes. Gordon is off and Krafko is on, and Barnes switches to the left then at this stage. Right, on the 70 minutes, and Bruno blast after the Murphy, lovely little chip in by Murphy, and Bruno blasted, but it went nowhere, went wide. 74 minutes, I know I'm flying through the action points here, but we're getting to the big one. 74 minutes, Chelsea through. They throw on more attackers as they go for broke here. The final ball again lets us down. Murphy crossed towards Isak at this stage was just too high for Isak.
Can I just stop you 1 second? Just rewind just a little bit. That moment where Kraft comes on, and Gordon comes off. What did you boys make of that moment? What did you make of that substitution?
Thought it was more to go more maybe defensive, and Murphy was getting into trouble. Maybe then down the right hand side when Botman was off, and it would allow us a bit more protection down there. And then Gordon would be playing well. Did he need a break? I'm not so sure, but that was my thoughts on it.
Yeah, like you guys, I thought Murphy was struggling a little bit at right back, or right wing back at that point. In fact, no, he was right back at that point, I think. I thought he was struggling a bit at right back, and we needed to change it up. My only thing I was worried about, Pete, I'll be honest, is it was seen very much as like a defensive move, and I didn't really want to invite Chelsea on. Because at that point, was it 74 minutes or something, did you say?
Yeah.
And I still felt we were capable of going to get that second goal. So I was worried that we were then just going to sit in and then kind of invite Chelsea on. Maybe yes, on the counter, we could make a difference. But I almost wanted to go and get the second and then shut up shop. That was kind of how I was feeling about it. But we did need to change something because it wasn't quite working at that point. And Chelsea were slowly but surely coming into the game, so we did need to mix it up. I personally probably wouldn't have done that sub, but in fairness to Kraft, as he always is, to be fair, Kraft always comes on and does a job for us, and I thought he did really, really well when he came on. What about you, Pete? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I thought Kraft was absolutely the right sub at the right time. Murphy was struggling in that right back position. He's done a great job in sitting in there and doing the job. But when it turned to 4 at the back and he had to play right back, it was something that Chelsea were trying to expose us with. They were playing all their football down our right hand side, so they knew that was a way of getting in, because Murphy's tracking of players isn't great from a defensive point of view. It's not, because he's not a right back, which is the simple answer to that, and quite understandable. So Kraft coming on was the right decision. What I didn't agree with is Gordon coming off. I felt Gordon should have stayed on the pitch. I would have actually taken Barnes off at that point because Barnes looked tired to me. And I think, and the bits that you touched on afterwards when you kind of carried on the run through, Daz, when you talked about Barnes had a couple of opportunities, either to make the right pass or the one where he was in and he should have really hit it first time and he didn't. There was one with his left, there was one on his right, and he just took too long. For me, that was tiredness more than anything. He looked shattered. And I thought that was the only thing that I probably would have changed. Look, I'm not going to argue it. There was Eddie Howe knows the scoring. He obviously made the decision and it worked. So not going to have any qualms about that. But I just thought with Gordon's electric pace and work rate, that would have been a little bit more of an assuring feeling to know that he can get back and forward and support the team. But yeah, that was the only thing for me in that. But yeah, it was the right decision to make. I thought tactically, in terms of positional play and subs, I thought Eddie Howe was very, very good today. But that was the only one, the Gordon and Barnes situation. But yeah, I just wanted to know because it was one that I thought about at the time. And yeah, nobody else that I'd spoken to had mentioned it, so I just thought I'd throw it out there. But sorry,
it's a good point, Pete, because I didn't really think about that. Because the very next thing I'm about to say here is Barnes' touch lets him down as Newcastle win. At that one time, I was frustrated. I was banging the couch because it was just frustrating at that because it was so nervy at that point because Chelsea were creeping into it. But down to 10 men, so you just need to get something over the line. But 81 months, case in point, 81 minutes, Pope save as he touches it over and sends it for a corner. The nerves are fever pitch at this stage. Just need to get over the line with those 3 points. 87 minutes, Reece James with a chance, header over the bar that would prove to be Chelsea's last chance. I think, but then on the 90th minute, Bruno outside the box, shot from Bruno. But after there's a free kick to Newcastle, Byrne is screaming for it. Pass me the ball. He actually reminded me of Pete actually at the
just give me the ball. Just give me the ball.
Just give me the ball to leave Kennedy.
That's
what I was saying. But now it's happening.
Liam. Yeah.
It's exactly what came into my head when that was happening.
Give me the ball.
Yeah.
So I thought he was going to go to his head, but no, he controls it, brings it down, and he passes it to Bruno. He went looking for the return ball. Wasn't happy, I don't think, when didn't get the pass back. But Bruno outside the box takes a shot, takes a deflection as well, and it goes over Sanchez's head and into the top corner. And I just went absolutely mental then. I think I frightened Luca. I was told, stop saying the F word. That's what I heard because I was going mental. We were going into the Champions League is what I was shouting about. And yeah, then Bruno did 20 celebrations, of course, which I don't mind one bit. Let him do as many as he wants when he scores a spectacular goal like that. But boys, what are you making of Bruno's goal? I just thought it was unbelievable.
Pete, go on, mate.
No, go for it, fella.
Just relief more than anything. When the ball at the back of the net, you just knew we had the points. The points were in the bag. So yeah, also relief. But yeah, it was funny that when the camera panned onto Dan Burn, and Dan Burn was like, "Just give me the ball. Just get." You could see him just saying, "Just give me the ball." Ball getting looped over, and then yeah, it was funny actually. I had to watch it back 2 or 3 times because I wasn't convinced that it took a deflection. But I think it did a very slight deflection, which is where the loop came in. But it's a brilliant strike regardless. Whether it would have had that much loop without the deflection, I'm not quite sure. But he put enough power on it anyway. You've still got to strike the ball. You've still got to take a chance. And yeah, it left the goalie with no chance. Robert Sanchez was sprawled in the air. Had vibes of Petr Cech with Papi Cisse to me. That was the first thing I thought of. When I seen him sprawling backwards, but he was never going to get there. But yeah, it was a brilliant moment, and yeah, like you, Daz, I just went bananas at that point because I knew that the 3 points were secure. And I think we had a very, very unpleasant and uncomfortable second half to deal with, because Chelsea came out the traps, in fairness to them. They made a couple of changes at half time, and they really settled into the game, and they were used to playing with the 10 men. I think they made a couple of tactical switches. I think they brought Madueke off. Who did they bring on for Madueke? Reece James, and they changed up tactically, and they looked more in the game. So that it was much needed goal. And I'm going to say it was a fantastic finish because it was, and it secured all the 3 points. But I was made up for Bruno as well. It had to be Bruno. But absolutely delighted.
I think I have the voice note I sent you guys. So hopefully this is the one.
Get the fuck out, boys! We're going to the Champions League!
Yeah, that's just a small sample.
And then you hear in the background, Davin, can you stop saying the F word, please?
Pete, Bruno's goal. How was it for you?
It was. It was game done. That was the first thing that came to my mind when that went into the back of the net. Game done. We needed that second goal just to be sure. I was confident we would see them out anyway, although we were giving them a little bit too much respect in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes before that goal. But seeing that goal, that ball nestle into the back of the net, look, I don't think Bruno's going to care. I certainly don't care how it goes in, whether it's deflection or not. As long as it passes the goalkeeper and it's flying into that net, that's all that matters. And Bruno with his 15 celebrations, it's always a glorious sight to see, and he always enjoys his moment. So it was absolutely brilliant, really, really well played, well deserved. There's no doubt about it for me. We deserved to win that game. We were the better team. There's people that were saying, "Oh yeah, Chelsea, they looked all right with 10 men and all the rest of it," and I'm like, no. Because we wanted them to play that way. We literally changed our tactics to enable Chelsea to play that way for a particular reason. And that's down to Eddie Howe more than anything else. And I thought we managed them really, really well. And that's the moment we wanted to catch them cold in certain moments. And that's why I think Dan Burn was so adamant he wanted that ball early. Because if you look at the first moment when he's giving me the ball, he's got at least 5 to 10 yards between him and the nearest defender. Yeah. So he knows if you're going to pump it diagonally there, he's got a chance either to get ahead on it or do what he actually did, is to bring the ball down and link the play. And that's exactly how we scored the goal. So we were able to exploit their team in the way that we wanted to. And we fully deserved that. So brilliant goal for Bruno. I thought it capped off a really, really good performance for Bruno Guimarães. I thought he was excellent today. When you want a moment to kind of settle the nerves, you go to your captain, and the captain produced a great moment, which I think we'll all remember at the end of this season for sure.
For sure, that is 100%. But that pretty much it. Longstaff and Wilson come on for Bruno and Isaac. I don't know if they even got a touch because it was a 2-0 final score. Newcastle, as we said, we talked about the table. We're going to talk about it again in a few minutes. But Dan Burn got the man of the match as well, lads. Rightly deserved. There was some great performance across the pitch, but Dan Burn was colossus, as we've come to expect now. He's really, really nailed down that spot for himself. And this is the team photo as well. First time looking at it in detail. See Trips is in there. Hall is in there as well.
Did I see Joe Linton in there earlier? I'm sure I've seen Joe Linton. Did Joe Linton?
Joe Linton was at the game, as we saw. He was wearing the 96.
Might not have been in there. Might not have been in there. Trips in there. Yeah. Bruno and Howe at the back. Lovely to see that. Great to see Botman in there, because there were people that were concerned about Sven Botman. Obviously coming off when he came off, but they said it was purely a precaution because he mentioned he had some discomfort in his knee in the first half, but played on and then came out for the second half. So the fact that he came out suggests that he's okay. So yeah, it was good to see him walking back into the change rooms at the end. No ice or any sort of additional support, because boy, do we need him. He needs to be starting next weekend at the Emirates, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I'd go same formation again, especially if we're going to be missing who we're missing. I'd go 5-3-2 again. But Pete, I think you might have dropped some other graphics onto the screen. I think that might be nice a way to start to look at the table as well, or look at where we stand.
Yeah. So there was a couple of things actually. Have I got one more? There's one more that's not actually come up on the screen. I'll try and send it again. But there's this one coming from after the game, and they've done the updated opto analysis of the Champions League spots, and Newcastle United has been updated. So as you can see, Newcastle United have got 92.9% chance of getting Champions League football. That's gone way up. I think in the last show that we did, I think it was around 70% at that point.
Yeah,
in the build-up. It shot right up there. For me, I think we're playing Champions League football next season. It's obviously not guaranteed, but I think we've definitely got at least one more win in us, and there's no guarantee that the rest of the teams around us are going to win all their games, as we found out today. And so, boys, what are your reactions to that? Does that do these kind of percentages tell you anything? Do they fill you with confidence? They're clearly in our favour right now, and we're ahead of Man City in those percentages. Like, what's your thoughts, mate, lads?
Well, firstly, I thought I saw Jordy 2 for Life put it in 95.5%. So I'd take his 95.5% over your 92.9%, Pete. But it doesn't really matter. What it matters is because this changes in the blink of a result as well. But look, some great results for us yesterday, especially that as well. That shock one of Southampton drawn with Man City. Now, Villa got their win. It would have been nice if Bournemouth got a draw or whatever, but no, that keeps them there. Keeps them honest as well. And I do think that they'll get 69 points. I can see. Oh well, I could definitely see them beating Spurs, but because that Europa League final is on before the Aston Villa play Man United at the end of the season, and Villa are away at that. That gives me a bit of hope there, but I don't think it really matters. I think we're going to take care of business ourselves, and then everyone else battle it out for that final spot, then, or final two spots, maybe. Very, very positive weekend for us. Absolutely delighted, and I think we're nearly there. And it would be nice to get the job done next weekend, and then go into the final game of the season all relaxed and kind of just keeping an eye on everybody else.
Absolutely. Chris, your thoughts? And of course, we've got the percentages there, but then there's another image as well on top of that where NUFC Gallagher is dropped in a detailed image of the teams, the goal difference at the bottom of the screen underneath the club names, and our projected points totals that you can see on there. And then they've got the little goal difference bit. I think you talked about it in the beginning of the show, Chris, the goal difference on 69 points and what that might well mean in terms of the cutoff. How do you see our chances now of getting Champions League football with the percentages and with this one on screen as well?
I mean, I feel like we're pretty much there. I don't want to say we're definitely there because even though it's, according to your previous graphic, Pete, I think a 7.1% chance that we don't get it. I think it is pretty much done because I actually think that we'll go to Arsenal. I think we'll go to Arsenal next Sunday. And we've already beat them. Someone in the chat there, I think it was NUFC Luke 98, he said let's make it 4 out of 4 against Arteta. I actually think we're going to go into that game next week full of confidence. to try and seal it and get it done. And it really wouldn't surprise me if we were to go on to beat Arsenal next week. But the thing that surprised me the most, Pete, was how close the percentages were for Chelsea, Villa and Forest. I actually thought Chelsea's percentages would be far better than Villa and Forest. And the reason being is obviously looking at the fixtures.
On this one?
Yeah. Like I didn't realise it'd be that close, because to me, and I don't know whether you boys felt the same, when Forest drew today, it almost felt like it was done. I know mathematically it's not done, but you know, I look at the remaining fixtures, I look at the current league table, and I struggle to see Nottingham Forest qualify for Champions League football at this point. I struggle. I can't see Forest, getting it over the line. So for me, I think it's a straight shootout between Chelsea and Villa, and I do think that Chelsea will come out on top. I feel like Chelsea will have too much, but yeah, I mean, I still can't believe that we're almost there. And when I say almost there, what is it, 92.1? 92.9% of the way there. It's just been such a fantastic season, and once it's all sealed and done and dusted, my eyes then will firmly be on the summer transfer window. But yeah, brilliant season. Capping it off with not just getting a trophy, but also securing Champions League football, which is what we set out at the start of this season to hopefully do. And you know, having the carrot of being able to finish second is just something else. Like, you know, I hope that we treat next weekend as a cup final. And I genuinely think we will. And if we go and beat Arsenal next weekend, we are 90 minutes away, boys, from finishing as runners-up of the Premier League. And for me, that's just... If we beat Arsenal next season, if we beat Arsenal next game, I think we are finishing second, because I think we'll beat Everton at St James's Park.
We missed the bean then for a second.
I know, I did. It's a solid Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Get the vibes there.
Yeah, but now, brilliant. Honestly, just on cloud nine. And literally, I cannot wait for the summer. I just can't wait for the summer, boys. Really, really can't.
We're going to be busy, that's for sure. Super chatting. We'll come to that right now, because we always prioritize the super chats. Thank you, Jonathan. Cunha and Umbramo, here we come. That would be bad, wouldn't it?
Jesus, that would be good.
Cunha was your pick, Chris. Just make sure I'm pointing the finger at the right direction there. Cunha was your pick, but I think, as I said that day, I think he's gone to Man United. His head is but Man United, unless something has changed in the last while. Bueno, though, that is something I could see happen. I don't want to be paying at 65 million now. I saw quoted though. I think 60 is max, absolute max out on that. And that's still pretty high. But I take him Bueno for the right wing.
Yeah, I think Cunha. I don't know about you, Pete, but I think with Cunha, I mean, Dan United, he feels like it's pretty much done, pretty much signed and sealed. But I do think it will hinge on whether they get Champions League football next season by winning the Europa League. Because I think if Tottenham win the Europa League, I don't think he joins Man United. I don't.
I agree. I don't think he joins. And it's interesting because Graham Bailey has reported in the last couple of days that Cunha has or is scheduling talks with us and another club as well. I think it might have been Arsenal. There's an Arsenal, albeit in his words that Man United are his number one priority, and I think that's off the fact that they don't get Champions League football. I think Matheus Cunha wants to play Champions League football regardless, and I think he look at Newcastle United as a viable option. I think he look at us as a more viable option than Arsenal, because I think he'd probably start and play more minutes at Newcastle United, quite rightly so. I think at Man United he's a shoo-in to start. He's probably one of the main guys. So that's probably why he wants to go there, because I think Matheus Cunha wants to be the main man wherever he goes. He wants to be the starter, the guarantee. And if he can do that at Man United playing Champions League football, albeit at a team that needs a huge rebuild, I think he'll take that. So yeah, I don't see Matheus Cunha come in. And like they're interesting that Jonathan's put on there in terms of names. For me, getting Champions League football means that we can have conversations about players of this ilk, which is the key thing for me, is that if we get Champions League football, I believe whatever Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe's first choice targets are, I believe we get them. And that's, I think, the difference between our summers. I think regardless, we will get quality players that come into Newcastle United in the summer, whether we get Champions League football or not. But I think getting Champions League football means that we get our number one guys that we want in all positions. And that, for me, is absolutely crucial to the building of our football club. Because getting our number ones means that Eddie Howe's done his research, means that Paul Mitchell has done his due diligence on the players that he's going to be targeting in the summer. And they know collectively that they are the top guys that will kick on Newcastle United next season. And they're the guys, more importantly, that the likes of Alexander Isak, that the likes of Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimarães and Sven Botman and the big boys in our team are all going to want to be playing with next season. So it's absolutely crucial that we get that done. So it might not be Mbeumo, it might not be Matheus Cunha. Nobody knows who their first choice targets are, but Champions League means that we can secure those players. So that's the key for me.
And boy, do we need it as well. If you look at the bench today, we lack strength and depth. We know this. We need to bulk out the squad with quality players and going into European competition, more than likely the Champions League next season. And we're playing 2 games a week. We're going to need it. And we have the domestic competition. Of course, we're Carabao Cup champions. So we have to defend our title as well. 400 in the chat. Smash that like button as well. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and get you into the chat for chatting to all the loaded ultras.
Love it.
Where are we going next, boys?
There's a few things that we can discuss. Okay, let's go back to the picture for a second, because I'll ask you boys this. Cause I'll drop this picture on for a reason. Actually, I'll tell you what. Just as a little side comment, Sky Sports put this on literally just before the show started. So I just grabbed a little kind of picture on my phone with it and put it on the screen. In the last 3 seasons, this is how many points that Newcastle United have accumulated alongside the teams in the Premier League. So we are currently 4th in points accumulation in the Premier League in the last 3 seasons, which for me, when I looked at that, I thought that is a very, very impressive stat there. Verging on, well, hopefully we win our next game, or one of our last 2 will be on 200 points that we've accumulated in the last 3 years. What's your thoughts and feelings, just reactions, just based on seeing that, looking at the teams that we're in that conversation with?
Where's Spurs? That's my first reaction.
It's a great question.
Not even on the picture. They're not meant to be part of the Big Six. Anyway, it just shows you the what Eddie Howe has done since he came to Newcastle. Like, came to us for 19th, nearly 20th in the league, and just kicked us on. Okay, yes, there has been investment in the squad, but we haven't brought in a first team signing apart from Noel Kelly on a free, who's now gone for the last 3 windows. It just shows, and we've won a trophy, and we're more than likely going back to the Champions League for a second time in 3 seasons. It's just been absolutely unbelievable. Take a bow, Eddie Howe, as well, and everyone that's been involved. It's just they've worked miracles, really, and the only way is up. That we're not stopping either here. We're not just sitting back and going, "Oh, wasn't that great?" We are kicking on to the next level. We're going to get better and better and better across all departments, and yeah, great to see.
Absolutely, Chris, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, fascinating image, actually. I suppose the things that stick out for me are the fact that 197. So yeah, you're right. 3 more points, and maybe on 200. And I think if you divide that by 3 seasons, it's roughly about 66 points. So that tells you in itself that's Champions League form, isn't it? And that's why we're in the top 4 clubs, over the past 3 seasons. So that doesn't surprise me as such. I think as well, looking at the titles, and it's an obvious one, isn't it? But look how many points Arsenal have accumulated. Arsenal have accumulated 9 more points than Liverpool, yet Liverpool have still won a title. And that kind of shows you the frustration, doesn't it, from Arsenal fans' point of view? Because they're 4 points behind Arsenal, but they've they're 4 points behind Man City, but they've got Man City 2 extra titles, and Arsenal currently still sit on 0. I'm also quite surprised how close Aston Villa are. I wouldn't have thought it was that close between ourselves and Villa. I thought Villa would have been, a bit lower than that. So it shows, the job that Unai Emery's doing at Aston Villa. And Man United, that kind of tells you what's happened to Man United in recent seasons, doesn't it? They were good 20 odd points behind. But do you know what? That image, Pete, it's very telling of where we are as a club right now, isn't it? We're showing our consistency. We're showing that us being in that conversation, us being in that top 5, top 4, top 3 race as we are now, shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise to us, because over the past 3 seasons we are exactly where we should be, and that's in that conversation. What happens next season, who knows? But no, it's a really, really interesting graphic, that, and Chelsea have still got some way to go, haven't they, to catch up, considering all the money they've spent.
Exactly that, for a number of reasons. Boys, we've talked about it a lot on this channel, and people that are watching would have heard us talk about this on a continual basis. Eddie Howe is going into his 4th window without signing a first-team ready player. For him to produce that number, for Eddie Howe to be sitting 3rd in the Premier League without signing a first-team ready player to add to our current team, it's an absolute joke that he's performed this well. Like, it's absolutely crazy that he's performed this well, and I don't think Eddie Howe gets the respect that he deserves. He deserves all the respect in the world for producing that level of quality for Newcastle United, and to add to that, he's put a trophy in the cabinet. It is insane levels of top quality management that he's produced for Newcastle United to be put in this position. It is unreal. And massive props need to go to Eddie Howe for that, because he's been so good to do that. And as you said, boys, you had 3 or 4 first-team ready players in the summer, knowing that we're playing Champions League football, and you add that to what we've currently got. Yeah, there's a potential that we're in for a right treat next season with some of the football that we could potentially play, and we add those quality of players to that squad. And that points total is only going one way, and it's going up. Now, you look at that situation there. The one thing I took away from that, boys, I'm looking at that group of teams there, and I'm like, well, we're in the mix as one of the top teams in the Premier League. We are right at the top table in terms of fighting out with the elite of English football. We are right there, right in the mix of it. And this notion of this top 6 or big 6, it's a load of bullshit, because what we've shown right there is that we've knocked that out of the park. That's not even a conversation. You mentioned it, Chris, or sorry, Daz, I think you might have mentioned it. Where's Spurs? Spurs ain't in there. Man United in there. I looked at that league table, and it was laughable. Outside the bottom 3, you've got Man United and Tottenham sitting in those next 2 positions. It is absolutely crazy to think in 17th and 16th that Man United and Spurs are still talked about, still get the TV time, still get all the respect and all the rest of it on the back of it for being top 6, but yet they're producing seasons like that. Nah, not for me.
And one of them will be in the Champions League next season as well.
Yeah,
they'll get the riches. They don't deserve it, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it, is one of them will be getting Champions League football. But hey, focusing on us, we're in a much better position than both of those clubs. And what we're doing now, if we can get Champions League football, we'd have got Champions League football 2 out of the last 3 seasons, which is crazy impressive. Now, put it into perspective. Tottenham have had 15 years on us when we were under the management, ownership, whatever you want to call it, of Mike Ashley. If we get Champions League this season, I believe, and I might be wrong on this, but I believe that Tottenham have only had 2 more Champions League campaigns or achieved Champions League football 2 more times than Newcastle United have. And they've had 15 years on us. I'm telling you boys now and people in the chat that over the next 5 to 7 years, we will overtake that. We will have played more Champions League campaigns or at least achieved Champions League than Tottenham Hotspur have in the next 5 to 7 years. And at that point, there will not be no more a Big Six. There will be whatever it's called, but there will not be a Big Six after that point. Newcastle United will be banging that door down and will be putting themselves in that position, and they'd have earned it at that point.
Yeah.
Boys, I want to go to there's another super chat in, and it comes from Tino, and he says the Rolls Royce is back. I don't know who he's referring to. Would it be Sven Botman? He's referring to, and absolutely delighted that he is back. So solid. Any ball that's there to be won, much like Dan Burn, he gets his head in it, and the passes. He just the calmness he brings to our backline as well. But absolutely great to see him back. Anything you want to say about Sven Botman, boys?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. When he's in the team, I think you were right, Daz. You know, he brings this calmness and this touch of class. And we've mentioned it over the last few weeks, haven't we, about possibly reverting to a back three or a back five. And when Sven Botman's in the team, we just look so much better. We really, really do. And to have a player of his ability is just brilliant. Like there is no doubt he's our best defender. And I'll be honest, boys, I'm just excited for next season. You know, seeing the likes of Tino Livramento, Kieran Trippier on the right, Lewis Hall on the left, Sven Botman in the middle, a new right centre back in the middle, Fabian Schär in the middle. We'll just have so many options. But yeah, if Sven Botman in this team playing week in, week out, if we can get that consistency in him, get that match fitness in him, and he's playing week in, week out, we'll see the difference. And I bet you next season could be a huge season for Sven Botman, and I think other clubs will start taking notice of him. In his short career at Newcastle, when he had that fantastic season where, you know, we played a lot of the games, people were starting to talk about him, and obviously he had the bad injury, and, you know, people have kind of forgotten about him a little bit. We haven't as Newcastle fans, but the be easier than maybe other people have. But it wouldn't surprise me next season, you know, if people start talking about him being in like team of the season, and, you know, the Arsenal centre backs get a lot of attention. But I think next season, a lot of people will be talking about Sven Botman and saying, wow, what a player this lad is. And he's still a great age as well. There's still so much more to come from him. He's a fantastic player, and it's great to have him back. So I agree with Tino when he says the Rolls Royce is back, and it's great for him to be back as well.
The boy's elite. He's an elite centre-back. And I mean, like, elite in terms of one of the best in Europe, in my opinion. We are so lucky to have someone of that ilk playing for Newcastle United. And the fact that he cost 32 million is an absolute joke. That we managed to get him from Lille for that amount. He is so, so good. Someone just put in there Albert Regen. He's miles better than Philip Albert. Miles better in every aspect of his game. He is a proper centre-back. As you said about Sven, Chris, his calmness on the ball, he's a unit in the air. He's quicker than we give him credit for. He's not rapid.
No. He's
quick. He can cover ground really easily, and he puts his body on the line for the cause. He is superb, and I can't remember a player. Maybe Kieran Dyer, and he had a lot of injuries, way more than Sven Botman has. And I've never known a player that can have so much time out after an ACL and come back and just be elite straight away. He's had 8 weeks out, or 7-8 weeks out, however long it has been. He's come back and it's just looked great straight away in his first start. That doesn't happen. That's not normal. And for him to come in and do that, I just think it just shows the level of the player. And I was watching a few kind of like interviews of certain players, and Sandro, I think, was talking about Sven Botman, and there's a couple of other players talk about Sven Botman, and they just said the way they talk about him, you just know he's quality. They just say he's like top. They talk about him in such high esteem. You just know how good he is. And so it's so great to have him back. We need him back. We need him fit and firing. We need him on top form, because when we've got Sven Botman in our team, one, we are more likely to keep clean sheets, and two, we are a better team for having him in it. And yeah, so good. I love him to bits.
Yeah.
Let's get to a few more comments or questions. Chris, I think you might have some.
Yeah, there's a few knocking around here, boys. So, yeah, do you know what? This has been a topic of discussion, this one. So it's off topic of Newcastle, but it is in terms of our, immediate rivals. Lee G says, lads, what's your thoughts on the Wolves owner? I think he means Forest. On the Forest owner having a go at Nuno in the middle of the pitch at the end of the Forest game. Looks to me like all is not well. I mean, boys, I assume you've seen it. If you haven't, do let me know and I'll explain
I've got it here if you want it.
Oh, go on, Pete. Go on.
I downloaded it.
Oh, good man. Good man.
I don't know if we'll get hit, so apologies if we do. But sorry, go on, Das.
No, while you're up, do you have it in the system already?
Yeah, it's already there.
Oh, play it. So yeah, we didn't.
Let's do it.
We can't hit for that. It's just two lads having a chat at the end of the game. Kieran Maguire said, "What's he doing on the pitch? He's no longer the owner. He's signed over rights too, because he can't have Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest in the Champions League. Well, he mightn't have to worry about that anyway. Sorry, Forest fans, but no." There's a time and a place for it to have a go. It's not on the pitch right after the match. Passion has spilled over, and in one way, you admire his passion. It just shows he's there. Compare that to the Glaziers, Glaziers, whatever they're called. But yeah, time and place, I think.
What about you, Pete?
I've spoke to Forest fans about this. As you know, Dave, who's a big follower of the channel, he goes home and away, supports Forest, and of course Wolfie. And I've had differing opinions of this situation, but my own opinion on it, I thought it was embarrassing. As not even my club that I support, but an owner coming onto the pitch at the end of the game and showing his visible frustrations, not to the referee as such or to anything else, but to the manager. I thought that was embarrassing. I thought it was unprofessional, and that type of thing should not be happening on the pitch at the end of the game, where the players are already going to be disappointed, where the manager's already going to be deflated after that, because they would have thought that was a guaranteed 3 points today, and it wasn't. So they're already feeling a certain way at the moment as it is. For him to come on and do that only makes things worse. And it wasn't necessary. Do it in the changing rooms or do it in the owner's suite or whatever it is at Forest after the game in private. Don't do that on the pitch where Sky cameras and the fans are watching that and taking videos, which everybody has. And now it's gone viral off the back of it. And it's going to cause, in my opinion, rifts and disagreements and issues behind the scene. Regardless of how they patch this up afterwards, there's going to be issues there off the back of that. It's not good. It really, really isn't. And it just showed his lack of professionalism by how he dealt with that. And actually made a great point. He signed off his rights to ownership. And Kim Maguire is absolutely right. How does he have rights to be on the pitch remonstrating with Nuno and other people about that result when he shouldn't really even be there in the first place? But look, Forest fans might have a different opinion to it. I've had differing responses to it, but I thought it was embarrassing. I thought it was a really poor moment. And as I am effectively, we're rivals to Forest because we want Champions League football. We want to make sure we secure it. Chelsea, Villa, Man City, Arsenal as well. They're all buzzing right now. They're buzzing seeing that because they're seeing cracks. They're seeing cracks appearing. Forest have already dropped a hell of a lot of points already this season. And the reactions of all the other clubs are going, "Ooh, we're in here, Forest are dropping off." And that's what Forest didn't want from opposition fans and the clubs to think after that game today.
We're also
could be wrong, but
we're also in that legally binding contract that is the alliance. But I was going to say something else about Macaracas on the pitch. Really, it's about if I think back a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago on Top Table Talk, Wolfie was saying that everyone smashes Leicester. Everyone puts 7 past Leicester. He was building up his goal difference on that Leicester game. Morton, never mind a win. No, it just has come back to bite. I know they were missing a few players as well, but it has bit them a bit. Chris, any thoughts yourself on this? That one?
Yeah, similar to Pete, really. I think Marianakas will probably look back and regret it. But it's hard as well because he does wear his heart on his sleeve. He is passionate. I do like seeing owners who are invested in the club and they really care, and you can clearly get that from him. But I just think he should have done it behind the scenes. I don't think he should have gone onto the pitch. I don't think he's probably done himself any favours with Nuno, although there will be some Forest fans. I saw a lot of Forest fans actually when I dipped into Wolfie's live stream. I saw a lot of Forest fans who were upset with Nuno, and obviously Marianakas is one of those. But yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult as well because a lot of fans will say, "Oh, but look what he's done for them. Look what Nuno's done this season." And Nuno has had an absolutely outstanding season, regardless of where Forest finish. The fact that I think they finished 17th last season, and he's took them to where he has this season. Yes, it will be disappointing. Yes, he will probably have been counting that Champions League money, and yes, he probably wants to kick on and do better with Nottingham Forest, but I just don't think, going on and the first thing that you do is go straight over to your manager and start lamenting him and clearly probably saying to him, "Why did you do this?" or "Why did you take him off?" or "Why did you..." It's just not something that you do on the pitch. And Pete's right, other clubs, other fans will be looking at that and thinking, "Oh, they're rattled." I mean, if I was a Chelsea fan now, knowing that, Chelsea are going to go to the City Ground on the last game of the season, you'd be very happy with that. And they've got as far as next game away to West Ham, it's going to be a very difficult game. Having in mind, West Ham won today as well, quite comfortably.
Chris, just to add to that, that's exactly how it was. So, for example, I had Charlie saying, "If we win at St. James's Park, I'm calling you. We're going to be on a phone call and we're going to talk about this, blah, 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 blah." Heard nothing from him up until he was. I might try him in a minute. See if we can get him online. He's not too far from home, but heard nothing from him until that result came in. And then when he saw the pictures of that, he's gone from being disappointed, thinking Champions League's gone now, we're going to struggle now to get in, to go in. We've still got a chance. We're going to win last game of the season. Yeah. That's his mentality. And that's just one fan. But I imagine a lot of the Chelsea fans that are probably just getting back to from St. James's Park back to London right now are probably thinking, all hope's not lost. And just off that moment, and that's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. Because it didn't need to happen. It didn't need to happen.
No, not at all.
Just another point. I'll raise the highlighter to make this one. Eddie Howe, manager of the year. If we finish second and win our first trophy in 70 years, how can he not get it? Never mind being in contention. He has to be up there. Don't give this Arnie Slot business in his first season in the Premier League. And Nuno has dropped down the pecking order now as well. Eddie Howe has to be number one manager of the year.
Yeah, I think if me personally, and I'm trying not to be biased, Newcastle biased, I think if we finish second and we've won the Carabao, I think Eddie Howe deserves it. I think if Nuno qualifies for the Champions League, I think Nuno will get it. If they give it to Arne Slot, I think it's a bit of a weak one. I think if Arne Slot had won the Premier League and maybe the FA Cup and the Champions League, I think it would be a shoo-in for Arne Slot. But there is always the argument, and all Liverpool fans will disagree with this, but there is always the argument, that he inherited a very, very good squad from Jurgen Klopp, and I think he only brought in Federico Chiesa. So, there wasn't much tinkering to do. If he was to win it next season, different conversation. But yeah, I would hope that Eddie Howe is certainly in the running, and if he finishes second, boys, I mean, that he's got to be up there, doesn't he? He really, really has to be. But yeah, for me, if Nuno gets Champions League football, I think Nuno would get it. What about you, Pete? Do you think Eddie Howe's a shoe-in, or do you think it will go to Slot or maybe Nuno?
I think he absolutely should win it. I think even if we finish third, Eddie Howe should win it. Finishing third, you got to weigh up the whole situation here. Like we've just talked, I mentioned about not having the signings and not being able to strengthen the squad like other teams have done, and being able to still manufacture a team that's been able to compete, not just compete, but get Champions League football again. But as well as that, finishing the top 3, potentially top 2, as you mentioned, Chris. But on top of that, winning the first trophy in 70 years, like that, you weigh that all up. It's an unbelievable achievement. It's an unbelievable achievement, and it has to be recognised. It has to be recognised. And so for me, he's a shoo-in to win that trophy, in my opinion. He won't though, and I agree. I think William Smith put it in the chat. Klopp will win it, but I don't agree with it.
No.
If we finish in the top 3, I don't agree that that Eddie Howe should not be winning that trophy, because you've got to weigh it all up. All of those things should be taken into consideration. And yeah, so for me, it would be a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Well, I'm going to roll the chat and go to the super chat, because I think
go for it.
My Tonali with a class name, his little icon there is Eddie Howe with sunglasses on and a cigar. And that's after winning Manager of the Year and getting us into the Champions League and in second spot, maybe. But he says, agreeing with you, Chris. He goes, not happy with McCoist's commentary regarding the foul. Would you want to give us your best impression of Ali McCoist again?
Oh mate, no, I can't even do it. It's so frustrating though. And just to add on to Ali McCoist's commentary, and I didn't touch on this earlier. Like, he was going down the whole Salah route. Do you remember when I said to you ages ago about when I was watching Newcastle versus Liverpool, and he was going on about Mo Salah, and he was going on and on and on. And don't get me wrong, Salah's brilliant, but it's as if they get dropped a little bit of information and they're like, oh, do you know what? We need to keep talking about this, or we need to keep bigging this up. Well, today it was about Trevor Chalobah. Trevor Chalobah, who's been doing so well since he came back on loan from Palace. And literally, they said it 4 times, and it was like, fucking hell. We don't need to cover it anymore. He's doing all right. He's fine. No problem with him. But like, it was like, oh, he's been doing great since he's come back on loan from Palace. Oh, Trevor Chalobah, you come back on loan from Palace, you know. He just kept saying it. Oh, mate, Jesus Christ. They kept saying it and saying it in the second half. I don't think it even mentioned his name. But yeah, they must have needed to plug that and keep getting it in. But yeah, that was another frustration. It wasn't just Ali McCoist, it was Darren Fletcher as well. But yeah, that was a frustration. But on the talk, boys, of manager of the season, Stephen King asks us about player of the season. And he says, boys, player of the season for you, is it Isak? Is it Big Dan Burn? Is it Tonali? Or is it somebody else?
For me, I've gone early with this. I said it about a week or 2 ago. I said Tonali, but Isak's drop off recently. He's been scoring his penalties. He mightn't be getting the service he deserves either. But even though Murphy just put the ball into him, but no, I'm going to give it to Tonali. I just think his overall contribution from the start of the season, and just loving life in Newcastle, and he just since we moved into that kind of number 6 role, or as if you're hearing the video, he shares the 6'8" with Bruno, but he's just been immense for us. Popping up with the first goal today, setting the tone, leading by example. He's just absolutely class, and I cannot believe he plays for our club, and it's just delighted that he does. So it's tonight for me. But Dan Burn is just being a legend this season as well, though. There's a few.
What about you, Pete? I mean, I mean, we'll probably do this at the end of the season anyway. Still a couple of games left to play. But if I was to ask you right now, and you have to make a decision right now, who would yours be?
Yeah, it would definitely be one of these three. I don't think anyone else kind of has hit the heights of these three over the course of the season. And there's a few in the chat slightly dismissing Isak. Isak scored 23 goals this season. It is still seriously impressive. And dipping form, yes, maybe managing an injury, probably. Which is why the dip in form has had, so that I think needs to be taken into consideration. But 23 Premier League goals is nothing to be dismissive about. He's been sensational. But for me, Sandro Tonali has to win it. Sandro Tonali has been absolutely sensational this season since he came into the team, since he come back from his ban. So he's had less of a season than anybody else. But for me, he's had the biggest impact on the team. And that, for me, takes a lot of precedent there in terms of why he's my player of the season. Comes back in, he influences the game in such an important way. Then he gets moved to number 6, and then he completely revamps the way we play as a team. Completely revamps the way we play as a team. He's been absolutely brilliant. Sandro Tonali again was sensational today. He's showing he is a top-level elite player, a world-class midfielder, and yet fully deserves it. I'd be giving it to Sandro. Someone just mentioned actually. Clonlad, Jacob Murphy. Sorry, my bad.
He needs a shout.
He 20 goal contributions this season. He needs to be in that talking point.
And the list.
Well. Yeah,
and another one, Pete, is Hall, because a few people in the chat are saying it as well. Like Hall, Paul would have been up until his injury. Hall was. I'm giving him my young player of the season to tell you the truth. Alan, but yeah, no, he should be in that list as well. It's just sure it's great to have so many in contention. We do need a poll. Someone asked for a poll as well. We won't have it today, but towards the end of the season, we'll have a poll for our player of the season and young player of the season. From the loaded. The official poll on that one.
Hall, I think before Hall's injury, I think he probably was maybe top of the list.
Yeah,
he was probably there in terms of player of the season, but unfortunately, the injuries sort of had an impact on that. And definitely throw Jacob Murphy in there. Any one of those 4, should I say? I wouldn't argue against. I personally go with Sandro. I definitely wouldn't go with him. And to be fair, I'm going to use that as an opportunity, Jordan Team for Life, to give a shout out to Nick Pope, because Nick Pope I thought was really good again today. I thought Nick Pope, since he's come back into the team, has been excellent. Yes, we know he has his deficiencies with the ball at his feet. But one thing I've noticed for the last number of weeks now is that although he is not great with his feet, what he's making that up with is being very good distributionally wise with his hands. So if you've noticed in any of the last 4, 5, 6 games, what he's doing now, whereas most keepers would use the ball to distribute with his feet, he's now doing it with his hands. And actually, when he throws the ball, he gets good distance on it. He's really good with his accuracy, and he's creating a lot of counter-attacking moments by distributing with his hands rather than his feet. So he's compensating for the fact that he knows he's not great with his feet. And like today, for example, when the ball goes back to him, his first thought is, how far can I kick it? I don't care if Isak gets on the end of it. I just want it out my way. So what he's doing, he's simplifying his game in order to ensure that Newcastle United aren't being affected by that. And I think that's smart play by Nick Pope. He's doing it, and it's impacting on. And again, another clean sheet on the board. So, big respect to Nick Pope. Made a couple of big saves today, playing well at the moment. I can't remember the last time he was at fault for any of the goals that we've conceded. And yeah, fair play to him. So I've kind of switched that around, Jordan, for life. I've took your point and kind of made it into a positive, because Nick Pope playing well for Newcastle United is a big positive, and he for me looks like he's back to where he was, maybe even before the red card against Liverpool a good couple of years ago. In terms of his recent performances, I think he's getting there. Doesn't mean that we don't need a new goalkeeper, though. Doesn't mean that we don't need a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, no, we do.
Respect where it's due.
Yeah. No, it was a wonderful save.
A few
from
more
Kukurea.
comments, Chris.
Wonderful save.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. So I liked this, and I didn't pick up on this, but it was a good comment from Stephen King. He says the mind games from Juarez, he's sending them out to train as a 4-4-2 and then lining us up as a 3-4-3. Good lads. I like that. I didn't see that obviously pre-match, but if that was the case, then I am a big fan of that. And yeah, David John Cook says Caicedo 18 fouls and no yellows was a disgrace. 18 fouls. Yeah, that was an interesting one. That.
Can I just say really quickly? I did a preview on Don's channel on Saturday, and to be fair, he was even getting some stick from Chelsea fans himself because he mentioned two things. He mentioned that Caicedo is the best midfielder in the Premier League, and he said that Chelsea's midfield is better than Newcastle United's. Well, what I will say to that is that we proved today that our midfield is without doubt, and bearing in mind it's without Big J, J7, Joe Linton playing in the team. We proved today that we have the best midfield in the Premier League. There was no doubt about it, and we outplayed Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, no conversation, much better. And Cole Palmer was extremely quiet today because of Sandro Tonali. So we proved that we've got elite players in our team that are better than what Chelsea have got to offer. That's just I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nobby Clark, he says, talking of Enzo, my favourite thing about the game was everyone winding Enzo up all game. Top tier entertainment. There was a bit of an ongoing battle, wasn't there, between Bruno and Enzo at one point. Obviously Bruno came out on top. Yeah. I did like that. And even when they got a telling off from the referee, they still carried on into the box. And you do get a little bit worried because sometimes Bruno can go a little bit over the top, but I thought he managed it really, really well. Really, really well. Michael asks, and I think there's a couple of million per space, but I'm not 100% sure on this. If we were lucky enough to finish second, how much more revenue would it give us from finishing 4th or 5th? And a great show as always, lads. Cheers, Michael.
I don't know. I was going to guess like $500,000 per spot, but it could be more. So I don't know. Look it up. Yeah.
It's around 2 million per spot.
Per spot.
Wow. So every spot you have, I think it's around 2, maybe just over 2 million per spot that you finish. So financially, finishing 7th to finishing 3rd or 2nd, there's a significant benefit in terms of millions that you get on your finishing spot. So it's sort of, well, unless it's changed this season. Last season it was sort of 2 million per spot, because I remember there was a few teams languishing in the lower end of the table that were kind of hoping to benefit from finishing a few positions higher in the league. And I think
it's gone up a good bit in the last couple of years, so that's great.
So it could be higher this season, but it's normally around 2 million per spot.
Yeah. On that subject, boys, I'm going to ask you my own little question here. Just got me thinking. How significant do you think finish second would be? And the reason I ask that is not just because of the monetary terms, but also like the promotion of the club, i.e., we I don't know, say we go to Germany or France or Spain, and we're trying to encourage a player to sign for Newcastle United, and maybe they're not, fully au fait with the Premier League and the standards. I'd find that quite hard to believe, but say they weren't. And then we were to go, well, this was the Premier League table last season, and Newcastle are second behind Liverpool, above the likes of Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham. How significant do you think that would be, us finishing as runners-up of the Premier League? And do you think that would make a big difference in terms of negotiating for players or trying to, persuade players to come and join us, rather than, say, finishing 4th or 5th? Don't get me wrong, still Champions League football, but do you think it would have a big significance, that little jump up?
To casual viewer, maybe it would kind of they may not follow us all season or follow the Premier League in depth, and they would have thought, oh, Newcastle were a bit off the pace of Liverpool, but they finished second. But not really majorly significant. I think next season we could, with finishing in the Champions League spot, it'd be difficult to combine European football, and if we can get the hang of that, playing Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Saturday or Sunday, or Saturday or Sunday again. If we can nail that down, I think with some strong acquisitions and bulking out the squad, we can be in the mix for a title challenge. But we're a few seasons off being credible, actually run away with it kind of style. Yeah, but to answer your question, Chris, not an awful lot of impact for me.
What about you, Pete?
In terms of, did you mean in terms of attracting players?
Yeah, so like, I mean, obviously I know it's only 2 or 3 places, but do you think that it will hold quite a lot of weight in the fact that they'd look at the league table and go, fucking hell, they finished above Arsenal, they finished above Man City? Like, do you think that would hold a lot of weight with some players? Or do you think just the fact that we go Newcastle United, Champions League football, or do you think having that you know, classing ourselves as finishing runners up in the Premier League and showing what trajectory we're on, do you think that would make much of an impact?
I think it does. I think finishing higher up in the Premier League does have an impact, because for the reasons that you said, like, players watch the Premier League, players keep an eye on the Premier League, players watch other teams' matches, as lots of players have talked about recently in interviews, not just Newcastle players, but others. Sandro talked about watching Premier League matches. Eddie Howe watches it. Like, players do, they do it. And they look at positions, and they look at where teams are, and they will look at teams and where they finish and look at their trajectory. This is the reason why Aston Villa have managed to acquire Marco Asensio and Marcus Rashford in January, because they look at where they finished last season and where they're playing in the Champions League and thinking, yeah, okay, they've got ambitions to play where I want to be. And we want to experience that with the players that we sign this summer. So absolutely. And, you know, ideally, look, I'll take 5th now and I'll run away with it, because it means Champions League football, albeit qualifying. But if we finish 2nd or 3rd, what it means is that we've not just scraped in by the skin of our teeth. It means that we've got in there by our own force of nature, because of our quality of performances and how we've played, and we've deserved to get in there and be comfortable doing it. And that is where the caliber of player that we're trying to attract to Newcastle United will look and think, well, okay, they've not just scraped in like maybe a team would have, let's say, for example, a Chelsea or a Villa, or even a Forest, like, end up doing that, just as an example. They may see it slightly differently. Whereas if we finish 2nd or 3rd, we've earned the right to be there. And some people in the chat and some people watching this may think, oh, that doesn't matter to players. That means nothing. But for some players, it will. And for those top players that are having to make choices between us and somebody else, it could be the difference. And it's the small margins that matter the most to some players that tips the boat in, do they come to Newcastle United or not? And look, let's not beat around the bush with that. Is that Sandro Tonali came to Newcastle United because we were playing Champions League football, and the way we played and the way we gained Champions League football gained his respect, and he went, yeah, I want to play for a team like that. And now we have him, and look, we're talking about him being our player of the season off the back of it. You know, who's to say that we can't do the same next season and this summer pick up another type of Sandro Tonali player, because they're attracted to us in the way we play and where we finished in the league. It for some it might not make a difference, but I think for the players that we want to attract to Newcastle United, I think it definitely will. Like,
I was answering that question.
Sorry, Daz.
No, I was answering that question, Chris, on a potential increase in our fan base kind of viewpoint, for the way I was answering your question.
Sorry. Yeah, I see what you mean. But yeah, that as well, Daz. You know, that as well. You know, I think the fan base will keep on growing. But the more that we're in the top competitions, regardless, I think that will be the case, won't it? Absolutely. And Pete, you keep segueing me here. You keep segueing me, which is working well. So Craig Lee says, I'd be all in for Huijsen. So as the window opens, activate his clause. And then Kyle Utterson says, they talk about Huijsen for Chelsea. If I'm Huijsen, I would choose Newcastle 100% over Chelsea. What are your thoughts on that, Pete? I'll go to you first.
100%. I would. Like if I'm Dean Howson, I'm not going to Spain, for example. So I'm not going to Barcelona or Real Madrid, and I'm looking at who are the teams that are interested in me. We've talked about this before. At Liverpool, they've already got a number of centre backs, so he's fighting with a number of centre backs to get in. But you're looking around the other teams, and you're looking at Chelsea, for example, and Chelsea do need new centre backs. But Chelsea have still got a lot of work that needs to be done, and then they don't look quite right. There's calls for their manager to potentially be sacked. There's potential for unrest there as well, and it's not quite settled at Chelsea. Whereas for us, we know we've got our manager for the long term. We know we've got a team that is set, and they know what they need to do and how they need to do it, and they know where they want to go. All we need now is to get the player and put it in the position to be the guy to move us forward. Dean Howson knows that he comes to Newcastle United as number one first choice. He will overtake Fabian Schär naturally as that first choice target, and he'll come in and he'll play alongside Sven Botman next season and be a regular in that and be able to take himself and the club forward. He knows that, and I don't really understand why he wouldn't want to be a part of that. The only thing that would maybe make me think that he would think something different is going to Chelsea because they offer more money or because they're more of a higher stature club. Like, they're the only two things. If you're looking at trajectory and ambition and where we want to go, Newcastle United for me is just the same, if not a better option for a young talented player that's got his whole career ahead of him than Chelsea is, in my opinion. So I'm going to be biased as a Newcastle fan, but I would choose Newcastle over Chelsea for those reasons.
Daz, do you feel
the sensible option if you're a young player looking at this is to go to Newcastle, and also he can have a discussion with many people in Bournemouth who will tell them exactly what Eddie Howe is like. That they'll be able to, because they know he's going to go anyway. It's not a case of they're going to try. They're going to be able to keep him. He's going to go. So for him, it's better for him if he would go to a club like Newcastle or somewhere else. But Chelsea, there's so many players that go there and sit there. Like Tosin, who's on the bench for them today, and how did that work out for him? Not pretty good. But Daniel has a comment here with the same old thing of potentially of players wanted to go to London and the bigger wage, much like what Pete was saying there. But if he's smart and if he's got the right people advising him, then a Newcastle is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few more comments, boys. I'm going to whiz through them now before we wrap up. Geordie Tune for Life says, lads, don't forget we had our first choice right back missing, our first choice left back missing, and our first choice midfielder. Even more credit to the lads. It's a really good point. Really good point. Sometimes we forget that, don't we?
No, Geordie Tune for Life is right on that one. And Isak not looks like he's carrying something as well, or just not himself lately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. This one was an interesting one. I've not heard this, John, and if that's the case, maybe the boys can enlighten me. But John says, lads, interesting to hear Eddie Howe say we could break our transfer record fee this summer for the right player. Would you buy Cole Palmer for 80 million? He would be a dream signing for the right wing. And I know. What's our resident Chelsea fan who pops in? The final boss, I think his name is.
Yeah,
he wasn't having that. He wasn't having that comment on Cole Palmer. But in terms of Eddie Howe saying that we could break our transfer fee this summer for the right player, I mean, it sounds like the right thing to say. But what are your thoughts on that? If Eddie Howe has indeed said that.
I didn't hear him say that, but I'm happy to hear that if he has. Yeah, Anton is possible this summer. Once we get to Champions League, Anton is possible. I think we're going to go big.
Pete?
Yeah, I'm the same. I've not heard him say it, but I'm excited to hear it. You know, as we talked about earlier, very, very briefly, but you know, the rumors of Mbeumo being 65 million is gone, and basically put a lot of Newcastle fans off. Oh, we ain't going to pay that amount of money, this, that, and the other. But could that mean that we push the boat out for an Mbeumo because we desperately want a right winger to come in and make the difference? That fills me with confidence that we will go out and get a player like that. I mean, Cole Palmer is not going to leave Chelsea for 80 million. Let's just put that out there and make that absolutely clear. Cole Palmer is a 100 million plus player because Chelsea value him way more than 100 million. And we're not going to get a player like that. He's on like a 15-year contract. So he's signed himself up for life at Chelsea. He's not going anywhere. But in all honesty, it fills me with confidence because we obviously want to, and Paul Mitchell will want to try and get value for money in his signings and manage how much we spend because of PSR and all the rest of it. But if you're going into the Champions League, you want to go in knowing that you've got a bit of a marquee signing or you've spent a little bit of money and that you're going into that campaign knowing that you mean business. And getting a high-profile player like we did with Sandro Tonali, it doesn't half kind of give you that little boost and jump that you've been able to bring in a top-quality player. And I've just got a sneaky feeling that Paul Mitchell's going to want to produce that type of signing as well. You know, we didn't get his signings through the door in the summer. He wasn't able to flex his muscles in January. I do think he's going to be really shrewd and get some really good deals, but I think he's going to want to show Newcastle fans and the club that he can get the deals done. And I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls off a little bit more of an expensive signing to go, yeah, this is what I'm capable of. So yeah, it's exciting, mate. I'm not going to lie. It's exciting. It's going to be exciting for all of us because we're going to be the ones going mad, celebrating it and talking it through on Loaded Mag NUFC.
Oh, here we go, all summer long.
Absolutely.
And we will come to you as straight as is possible to get to you. We will be there with the breaking news as we always do. Really.
Yeah. Definitely. This is an interesting one from James Warbridge. He put this in the chat earlier. Welcome to the chat, James. James says, Littlemans, I'm not sure who Littlemans is, but Littlemans said on X that we are in talks to buy Jacob Ramsey before the 30th of June with a gentleman's agreement for them to buy Barnes for 40 million in July. He's got stuff right in the past as well. And he goes on to say he's not as self-regarded in the know, but he's got contacts at the club apparently and has got stuff right previously. Now, this Jacob Ramsey rumor will not stop. It's been going on, I'd say, in the past week or so. And I just wanted to get your boys' thoughts on it, you know, in terms of, you know, we know that there will be some clubs who are maybe under a little bit of pressure come the end of that PSR window. Is Jacob Ramsey someone, you know, that you boys might be interested in? Would you be willing to swap potentially Jacob Ramsey for Harvey Barnes? Like, what are your initial thoughts on that, boys?
Just checked there. Yeah, he did get sent off yesterday. I knew there was something about him yesterday. Yeah, he got sent off. He got 2 yellows. I like Jacob Ramsey. I don't think I like what Eddie Howe could do with him, let's say, and bring him on. He has got a lot of injuries the last while. Or this season, so he wouldn't. Okay, if you're getting a good deal with Villa or a PSR kind of window deal, yes, but he wouldn't be top of my list this summer, to tell you the truth. But I do like him as a player, though.
Pete, what about you?
Not for me. I don't want Jacob Ramsey. I'm so glad you mentioned this. I'm so glad you brought it up because I took a picture probably earlier on this week, and I've just put it into here. And this is why I wouldn't want Jacob Ramsey, because this picture here tells you the story of Jacob Ramsey in his career in the last few years. they're the matches that he's played, and they're the goals and the quality that he's produced. For me, with the money that Aston Villa would want for him, I personally don't think it would be worth it, especially when you've got someone that's produced more goals and assists in Harvey Barnes. I think Harvey Barnes is better equipped to give us what we need. I look, regardless of whether Harvey Barnes starts or not, I don't think Jacob Ramsey is the answer. And I have to say, within this, if Aston Villa are willing to sell Jacob Ramsey, which I believe this is the case, they seem to be quite happy to let him go. That worries me that they're willing to let him go. Now, if you are prizing a player out of that club, like we might, or I say we probably won't, but like a team might have to do for an Emi Martinez or a Morgan Rogers or an Ollie Watkins. If you're having to prize a player like that out of the club, that's different. You're getting a player that they don't want to let go of, but they have to because of financial constraints. A little bit like we did with Elliot Anderson. But if you're getting that willingness to go, yeah, you can have him if you pay the right money, that's a concern for me, especially a player that came through their academy, especially a player that had England credentials not long ago for the under-21s. His injury record's not great. He's only 23, 24 years old. I'm not sure how much they want for him will be value for money. And I think there's better players out there that we could get for that for that price that we would end up paying for him. You go. I'll put that on the screen for Jacob Ramsey. Sorry, not Jacob Murphy. Jacob Ramsey. You go and put those same stats up for Harvey Barnes over those same years. Forget the age for a second. His output is absolutely significantly different, including this season. They're not worth the same amount of money. Harvey Barnes is worth way more than Jacob Ramsey for me. So he's not a guy that I would be looking to sign. I get it. He's English. He's young. All the rest of it. But he's not producing the sort of numbers that you would want to be paying that sort of money for. Just my opinion.
Jacob Ramsey strikes me. He strikes me as another Emile Smith-Rowe, someone who had a lot of promise. And, you know, the likes of Fulham may want to pay. What did Fulham pay for Emile Smith-Rowe? Was it 35, 36 million? And that's probably what Aston Villa will command for him. But the fact that he's playing at Fulham kind of says it all, really. Foxy says, easy decision for Villa to move on Ramsey. English, good profit for a youth player, and some team will have to overpay with English tax, plus much better out there. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want us to be that team, and that's the point that I'm making. I don't want us to be having to pay that English tax on Jacob Ramsey when they're quite willing to sell him. Now, you've made a really good point in Emile Smith-Rowe. Emile Smith-Rowe has been on the bench for the last few weeks for Fulham, and he's getting minimal minutes. And Arsenal fans were talking about him being this generational talent that they didn't want to let go, and now he's sitting on the bench for Fulham because I think they've realised that, you know, he's not the guy that they thought that they were signing. And this is the thing. They've signed a player like him because he played for Arsenal. His injury record, his form, his fitness, all those things accumulated into why Arsenal were willing to let him go. And that always raises alarm bells with me. And I get the same feeling with Jacob Ramsey, which is why I wouldn't want to put our money in for him. And there you go. At that point there's more to come from Harvey Barnes.
Especially in Champions League season.
Exactly that, Daz. Like, he offers something different. You know, he had his moments today where he played well. I was disappointed with his touches and stuff in front of goal. But he will have moments next season, I'm sure of it, where he will put the ball in the net and create problems for the opposition. He's 28 years old. He's coming into the prime of his career. I want him to have the prime of his career at Newcastle United because I think we will get the absolute best out of him. That is for sure. And that's either playing in addition to or instead of Anthony Gordon now we've got them both fit and firing. It's a great option to have, and it's a great headache to have. And if we want to be having ambitions to get Champions League again, you need to have a squad of players, and we need Harvey Barnes.
Shout out to Tickle as well, who has become a loaded ultra. Nice one, Tickle, my Tonali. Chris, any last one to see us out?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Couple of very quick ones. So John asks, is Mark Gay an automatic starter if he signs in the summer?
No one is.
I like that.
Not with Eddie Howe.
Not automatic, but he'll be coming in as a starter, yeah. It's going to be an interesting one, because if Mark Gay is the guy, he plays normally on the left, but he's going to have to transition onto the right. Although he's right-footed, so it won't necessarily be a problem, but you get used to playing on that side. But the reason why we'll be bringing someone like Mark Gay in is because of what we lack, and we lack explosive pace in the team. He has explosive pace. He's a great one-on-one defender. He's quick as oat to get back in and recover, a little bit like Tino Livramento. Is rapid, lightning quick at getting back and covering spaces. Mark Gay is that, so we're adding additional pace to our back line, which is what we're lacking and what we need. But he's also very, very good on the ball. Maybe not Fabian Schär good on the ball, but he is very, very good on the ball. And it can bring the ball out of play. I watched him on Monday against Nottingham Forest. He was bringing the ball out of play, out of the back, and he was creating opportunities and attacks from defensive positions. That's how we play. That's how we want our team to progress. And so he does fit the mold. So I do think he will end up starting. He's not going to leave Palace, where he's the captain, if he's not being given assurances that he's going to be starting regularly for Newcastle United.
Yeah. And then last question, boys, from Scott. And he says, do you think we'll set up the same against Arsenal next week?
Yes, especially if we're missing the same players. And it worked so well previously at the Emirates against Arsenal. Now we'll see if Arteta has something up his sleeve as well. They need a point at least. Yeah, a point will get them Champions League football as well. So it's not going. They're not going to just lie down and let them walk over them. So it is going to be a bit of a battle. But I'd set up the same way. 5 at the back, go at them the same way.
Same for you, Pete?
Yeah, Chris, I said it to you on away days. Like when we were doing the lineup, I said 2 things: 3 at the back, Botman in, and secondly, Gordon has to start. Now Gordon started on Sunday, so for me, he's a shoo-in to start again against Arsenal. He loves Arsenal. Arsenal hate playing against him. Sven Botman, Van Burn on the left, Shaw on the right, and Sven Botman in the middle. It's exactly how we need to play to be able to stop Arsenal in those little pockets, which is where Odegaard picks up positions, which is where the likes of Declan Rice or the now suspended Mikel Mourinho, because he is now missing the game next weekend after the red card. So that's where they tend to pick up their pockets in the little half spaces, and having 3 at the back stops that from happening. So for me, we've proven to be their sort of Achilles heel, because we set up in a way that they really struggle to break down. Bukayo Saka, who likes to cut inside, it stops that from happening because we have the extra player there. Same with Martinelli, almost on the right hand, on their left, our right. That style and that setup cancels out a lot of Arsenal's strengths. So for me, we have to do it. We have to play that way. And I trust our team 110% that we can catch them on the break and we can cause problems, as did Liverpool countless times today. And even the Liverpool that weren't at even 60% still were able to score a couple of goals, and probably should have scored more. I trust our boys to cause them havoc on the break at the Emirates next weekend. So 100% 5 at the back, Gordon to be starting on the left. Let's go get those 3 points, boys.
That's exactly what we did in the Carabao, wasn't it? Over the 2 legs, Because I think we beat them at home first leg, and then it was like, oh, we just got to make sure we do okay in the second leg, you know, at the Emirates, and we blew them away at the Emirates with the 5 at the back.
Other way around.
Oh,
so we did that at the Emirates, and then we blew them away at St James's for doing exactly the same thing. Exactly that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for the questions.
That's it. That is it, and that is it for the show as well. Thanks for sticking with us. Only 2 more reaction shows left this season. We are 3 points from guaranteeing us Champions League football. We will be back on Tuesday for one you are not going to want to miss in Top Table Talk. Wolfie, I'm sure, will come with mind games. He'll be directed towards Charlie, though, at this stage. So, because not us this time. He'll try. You know he'll try. But
him and Charlie have already, Charlie's already tried to goad him out. He's not. Wolfie hasn't been on the 12-man chat tonight. Not that I've seen anyway, because he was doing his show. But Charlie was already aiming bullets at Wolfie. So I imagine that will continue into this week. That's for sure. Because I think they both now know that they're going to be at loggerheads, and I believe that now they both know that it's going to be a straight shootout last game of the season between those two, which is exactly what we want, lads.
Exactly. Charlie's well able to handle himself as well, so it will be entertaining. Let's sit back with the shades on, boys, and enjoy that one. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out. We want 250 likes, so if you haven't done already, hit it on the way out. We will catch you on the next one. Here we go, like a loaded magpie.
Each and every single day, I know I'm going to have to eventually give you